Good to see you again.
What do you want? Oh, good. Check shirt.
They often manage.
Not on purpose.
So, for those watching tonight's meeting virtually, the meeting is available to live stream via the Park District website. All information about Park District meetings can be found at winpark.org under the Park District Info tab by selecting Board Meetings and Videos. Public comment is accepted in person. A link to the video and audio will be posted immediately following tonight's meeting. To improve the sound while listening, please turn up the volume on your computer and turn up the volume on the website. The meeting packet is located on the website. For those attending tonight's meeting, the emergency exits are in the door behind you and through the foyer. To improve the quality of sound, there is a boom microphone directed towards the commissioners. The microphone will pick up additional audience noise. If it's difficult to hear, please move to the front row. This is a business meeting, and we ask for your cooperation to maintain decorum. Please be considerate and refrain from interrupting board members and other speakers. We're a community coming together to discuss difficult issues in a civil and respectful fashion. Okay, we have one more minute. Here we go. We have the opening call to order of the February 20th, 2025 regular board meeting. Elisa, would you like to do the roll call?
Commissioner James,
Here.
Commissioner Lusson,
He will be arriving 5 minutes late.
Commissioner Rapp,
She will be arriving at 7:15.
Commissioner Root,
Present.
Commissioner Tyson,
Here.
Commissioner Koto.
Here. We have a quorum. Okay. Stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Public announcements. Elisa?
Join the Winnetka Parks Foundation tomorrow at the Ice Arena for a morning of fun and giving back. Family Skate runs from 10 to 11:30. It is $10 per participant, and it includes rental skates. Spring registration is open. Spring brochure is live and out on our website. And I also wanted to let everybody know that beach and dog pass sales open March 3rd, and current pass holders can renew online starting March 3rd.
Thank you. Approval of tonight's agenda. Are there any requests for changes or additions to the agenda? Commissioner Root?
No changes. I have something to remove from the consent agenda.
Okay. Do you want to wait until we do consent?
Sure.
Okay. May I have a motion to approve the February 20th agenda as presented?
So moved. Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? That's a voice vote.
Aye.
Aye. Public comment. This is your opportunity to address the board on any issue When called upon, please come to the center position in front of the commissioners, stand at the podium, speak loudly into the microphone, state your name for the record, and speak directly to the board. Based on the public comment policy described in the board policy manual and referenced in Public Access Counselor Opinion 2024 PAC 81900, guests may present public comment for no longer than 3 minutes after being recognized. If you prefer to share your comments in writing this evening, you may do so by leaving them with a member of Park District staff. Please raise your hand if you'd like to speak in public comment. I know we have a couple other people here for presentations, so this is just general public comment. Okay, seeing no raised hands, we will close public comment. Consent agenda. So you have a motion to remove, Commissioner Root, you have a
I
motion
do,
to remove?
well,
Which
yes,
item?
uh-huh.
Yes.
And it's the minutes from January 16th, both the regular and then the executive session.
Okay. May I have a motion to remove?
She just, do we need a motion? No.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right,
just-
just remove it. Perfect. Okay. Does anyone, may I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as amended?
So moved.
Second?
I'll second.
That's a roll call.
Commissioner Root,
Yes.
Commissioner Tyson,
Yes.
Commissioner James,
Yes.
Commissioner Koto.
Yes. We can go ahead and discuss now, at this point, those removed items, if you wish.
Ms. Koto,
Yes.
before we get into the discussion about 3.2, I don't know whether we're going to have to go into closed session to discuss the
closed
accuracy
minutes.
of the closed session minutes.
Gotcha.
or-
Okay. Do you want to,
Again, we can go into closed session or we can defer approval of the executive session until we have.
why don't we defer them, you circulate your comments?
And I'll just circulate my comments for everyone
Perfect.
because it's, I think, an acceptable and minor change.
Then we can look, well, once we get to 3.2, we can look for a motion to table that to the next meeting.
Okay?
And then you'll have time to
Okay,
change.
great.
Okay. Item 3.1.
Okay. Then are we ready for the minor changes on the January 16th
Yes.
regular meeting?
Yes.
We had the pleasure of listening to Andrew Ahrens. He is an attorney that works with David Williams. His name is reflected on page 2 of the January 16th minutes is misspelled. It's spelled Ahrens, and it's Ahrens. I think it's Aarons. So I thought we might want to clear up the spelling of his name. Then on page,
A-R-O-N-S.
pardon?
I think it's one R.
Okay, whatever, it's not Ahrens, A-H-E-R-N-S. On page 7, under the appointment of Stormwater IGA Committee, Andy Kripe is not a board member or former board member, he is a former village trustee.
Former village trustee and
Yeah.
former member of the village stormwater
There
negotiation
you go.
team for West Winnetka.
And that's it.
Perfect. May I have a motion to approve item 3.1 as amended?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in, that's a roll call.
That was Jennifer Moore.
Mhm.
Commissioner James,
Yes.
Commissioner Lesson,
I'll abstain because I did not hear the whole thing.
Commissioner Root,
Yes.
Commissioner Tyson,
Yes.
and Commissioner Koto.
Yes. Okay. Moving on to item number 4, presentations.
3.2.
Oh, 3.2 is, may I have a motion to table 3.2 until next month?
So moved.
Second.
Second. The motion is Root, the second is James. Is it a roll call? No. Voice vote, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, that motion passes. Presentations, item 4, Paddle Hut Expansion Engagement Request. I think we have Colin Cross here from the Winnetka Paddle Tennis Club. Please come, join us. Yep. 6:07, but you never thought we'd get here this fast.
This is for you. That's for me? Oh, there's the presentation. Thank you very, very much. Well, thank you, Commissioners, for this opportunity to present the current stage and the future plans for the Winnetka Platform Tennis Facility. Let's see if I can, what do I do here?
That one off to the right. Yep.
The one on
there
the
you
right.
go. All set.
Okay, let's see, can I actually click on the video? Or you can?
I can,
Okay,
yes.
so we have a short video that the American Platform Tennis Association did. They gave us $50,000 to build courts 7 and 8. Need some volume.
This is the greatest sport there is.
That motion passes.
The impact.
Presentations, item 4, paddle hut expansion and engagement request. We have Colin Cross here from the Winnetka Paddle Tennis Club.
Apologies.
You're fine. There, perfect, thank you.
On the community is intangible in a way because it really just builds community.
I just think that this is the greatest sport there is.
Well, one of the things I really love about paddle is the social aspect, where you get to meet so many people.
Hi, I'm Colin Cross. I'm president of the Winnetka Platform Tennis Club. And we're here at Winnetka where we just built 2 additional courts. Originally, the club was founded back in 1978 as one of the first public facilities in the country with our intent to put some courts here. We went to the Park District and we said, hey, there's this sport called platform tennis. It's growing pretty rapidly, but all of the courts are at private clubs, so we'd like to put a public facility in. The Park District said, great. Can you guys raise the money to pay for the courts? And we said yes. And the Winnetka Platform Tennis Club raised the money to put 4 courts in. Since then, we've expanded to 8 courts, and we also raised the money to put the hut in. So the club itself has funded all of the improvements and all of the facilities. So it's been a great success over the years, and recently we added 2 additional courts. And we applied for some grant money from the APTA, the national organization, and then the local league is the CPTC. And we got grant money from both of them, as well as funds that we raised independently. And we just recently completed the 2 additional courts.
My kids were in school and I was starting to have more time, and somebody said to me that there was this game called paddle that I could learn to play in about 3 months and be on a team, you know, right after that. And to me that was exciting, so I came to Winnetka, I took some lessons, and sure enough I started on a team, the lowest level, the next year.
Interestingly, when we applied for the grants, we put together a growth forecast that showed us going from about 380 members to 530 members over a 5-year period. We just wrapped up the 2nd year of our growth forecast, and we actually hit the 5-year number this year. And next year we plan to grow another 10 or 15%. So what's happening in the sport is once you hit a critical mass, you're going to be able to grow just through word of mouth. And we have about 1/3 of our members are from neighboring communities. The unique setup here, the reason why this works so well is because our 13 members of the board are really dedicated to making paddle the best it can be here in Winnetka. Nobody's paid a salary, everybody's doing it for the love of the game, and the end result is that every year we're looking for new ways to improve our member experience.
When I started, the Night League had just started here in Chicago. That really took off, and right now the demand for that is, I mean, it's off the charts.
Because we're so big now, we're able to offer a lot of options. So years ago, we just had the women playing during the day and the men playing on either Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday night. Because of our growth, we added a Sunday night option for the men and a Monday night option for the women. And the most significant part of that is for the women, we've got options for either night play or day play. So it's important to be able to offer women who can't play during the day an option. And that actually is the segment of the sport that's growing the most with us, is the Monday night women. If you want to find out more about platform tennis in Winnetka, go to our website, winnetkapaddle.com. And it has all the information that you need there, including my contact information. So feel free to reach out if you're interested in learning more about paddle in Winnetka.
Well, there you go. The American Platform Tennis Association gave us $50,000 to build those 2 courts. $25,000 was a loan, which we're paying back over 5 years, and $25,000 was a forgivable loan, if you will, based on growth, and we've blown through those numbers. We also got $20,000 from the CPTC, so of the $450,000 we raised for those 2 courts, $70,000 came through grant money and the rest came from club members. I'd like to introduce some board members who are here. Sean Phillips is here, David Nimick, Mark Warren, Brad Birchmeyer, Tim Clark. I think that's it for now, but we have a 15-member board now. It says 13, but we added 4 members at our January meeting. What was really interesting there, I wasn't going to say this, but we went to the club and said, does anybody want to be a board member? And we got 15 nominations for the 4 spots that we had open. It used to be we had to kind of grab someone and strong arm them into helping us out, but it's now something that everybody wants to be a part of. We were the first public facility in the U.S., to my knowledge. We're the largest, or one of the largest. Wilmette is very similar in size to us, but they didn't even have a facility prior to 2014. Ours is from 1978, and I can guarantee you we're the best managed facility in the Chicagoland area. And that's a result of an intense focus on customer service. That's what we're always trying to continuously improve. The history, we covered that a little bit with the Park District. It's been an excellent partnership since 1978. The club has been able to afford and pay for the improvements to the facility, as well as guarantee continual operating costs, covering all the operating costs, so no tax dollars have been used. As well as help provide additional funds for reserves. I think the Enterprise Fund has approximately $300,000 in reserves now. That's the highest level that I've ever seen. And I've been president since for 8 years now. The growth in the sport itself is about 9 or 10% just organically. The women's growth is higher. As you saw there, now that we have a nighttime option, more women are playing. And it's great. But we're at capacity for our Monday night women. We have 8 teams. We have a capacity of 8 teams. We just added 2 women's teams for a night league this year on Sunday night. So I do want to mention too, we were the first club that started offering women platform tennis. We had a house league going back to 2016-17. And so that growth has been phenomenal, which is great. But it results in us having 2 leagues playing on the same night for the first time, I think, in the history of the sport. So on Sunday nights, we have women showing up and playing, and men showing up and playing, and they all come into the hut. What we want to do with the hut extension is to do it in such a way that we can actually have separate spaces. It may seem kind of, minimal to people who don't play paddle, but when you play paddle, it's usually all the men are there, or during the day or Monday nights, all the women are there. There's really not a lot of mixing going on. There's none, frankly. So that's a key element of the design. We've been working on this design work for the last 12 months to try and figure out what's the best footprint for the hut. We're at the footprint level right now. Haven't blown it up into full-blown drawings. We're at the footprint level. The project itself was approved by this board back in 21 or 22. I don't know the exact date, but I do know we went and got the special use permit from the village of Winnetka. We had, I think, 4 or 5 meetings. So you go from the zoning board, planning review, whatever it is, up to the village council, all unanimously approved and very much encouraged. We did ask for a very long period of time between that approval and building this hut extension. We asked for 5 years. The reason was we didn't have the money, and we have to raise the money. And we've been raising the money in the last 3 years to try and accommodate that. So the special use permit runs out in the fall. I think it's November of 26. Thank you, Costa. The hut design itself, what we want this design to do for us and for the community here in Winnetka is to be very forward-looking. Okay, so this isn't something that takes care of us for the next 5 years or so. Hopefully this will take care of all of our needs way out into the future, 10 or 20 years or 30 years. We take up a very small footprint of land here in the Park District, and the nature of paddle is that you want the hut to sort of be in the middle of the courts, because you want to be in the hut looking out at the courts when it's cold out. Yeah.
I just wanted Taylor to catch up.
Trying to catch up. I'm sorry.
I
yeah.
wasn't sure where you're at.
Well, what I was thinking is that what I'd like to do is after I speak, we can go back to any slide if anybody has any questions and just kind of drill down a little bit more, but I'm almost done. So the hut design, I mentioned having a design where it could have 2 separate places within the hut, and we've accomplished that. And secondly, so that'll help us provide for 2 leagues on the same night. And our goal over the next few years is to see if we can't accommodate this growth that we've experienced programmatically, rather than just saying, let's add courts, let's add courts. I don't know what the answer is, but we're going to look at that and see if there's other ways to provide paddle opportunities that aren't the normal ones. I mean, that's kind of why we have Monday Night Women now, as well as Sunday Night Men and Sunday Night Women. One of the other key elements is an outdoor space, and you'll see that in the drawings here as well. Where we have a grill, we already have a grill, but it's kind of exposed where it is now. And I did mention, and I think it's kind of interesting, we do serve 8,800 meals per year. So, we're doing a lot, providing this sort of programmatic work at the Platform Tennis Club. You know what? I do want to leave you with one quote. So, the fall report, the Winnetka report that Chris Renz puts together, he says at the end, finally, this past Saturday evening, I had the chance to stroll by the paddle tennis courts at the Skokie Playfields. Evidently, this night featured an annual get-together, complete with good barbecue, courts filled with friendly matches, and a band setting the mood for a great party. As I approached, I heard one of the band members doing his patter between songs. Quote, "So happy to be back in this beautiful community with beautiful friends on this beautiful evening," unquote. Chris went on to say, "I agree. That's why we all live here." So that was a nice little shout out to the Winnetka Park District and the Platform Tennis Facility by Chris. That event is 2 years old now. Unfortunately, it's a memorial to a teammate who passed away. Not my teammate, another paddle club member. He's quite young. And his teammates came up to me and said, "We want to do something." Well, what do you want to do? "We want to have a tournament." It's like, well, who's going to run it? Because it takes time and effort. And they said, "We are." And they did. And it's a really nice event. So I want to leave you with that. I think right now, if we could go through any questions that you might have at any segment of the presentation, or we can just take a quick look at things, whatever you think is best at this stage.
Thank you very much. We've had a good chance on this board to look at it since mostly Friday, the final version out to the public on Tuesday. And I'm guessing your board knows the contents of these, but let's go around the circle up here. Does anybody have any questions? Jeff?
It's not really a question about the presentation, which is very thorough, and I love looking at the designs at the footprint level, as you mentioned. It's a similar comment that I had related to another topic at another meeting, which is staff capacity, because if I understand correctly, the ask here is to have staff help get you to the next step of analysis.
Yeah.
And my trying to look out for staff, I want to make sure that we have the capacity to do that as we look across our different parallel initiatives that we're working on. So that's basically my comment.
Yeah, what I would say to that is that the club plans to do as much of the heavy lifting as we can. I mean, we're going to hire an architect, we're going to pay for the civil engineers, we're going to do all the work ourselves that we can do. but there is work that has to be done by the staff, and there's a lot of value add that the staff provides to us as they review drawings and they say, what about this? Have you thought about that? This might not work, those type of things. One of the key issues that we face in this property is the easement. There's an easement for the cellular service that runs from those poles right next to the driving range, right down the center of our facility, our mutual platform tennis facility. Right down, it splits it. And that has to be dealt with for us to complete this project. So I'm not sure exactly how much time it is. You know, it depends on at what stage we're at of the project. It also will depend on whether or not we'd have to go back for another special use permit. If we do, then that's going to take a little bit more time, because that's something that last time we Costa did a lot of work on that. We applied for it jointly, but Costa was pretty heavily involved in that. So.
Commissioner Root?
Make this work. Thank you for your presentation. My question is one that we hear a lot of lately as we focus on fiscal responsibility. I know in the past we asked you how many of your members were from the village of Winnetka, and you said that you didn't keep a list that way, but I wonder if it would be possible for you to, just by zip code, figure that out.
We have that now.
You do have that.
It took us a while to. Our membership database was something where you would put in, my address is 828 Bell Lane, Winnetka, Illinois. Some people didn't even put Winnetka, but we've gone through everything and we've categorized every name by village. And so we have 310 people from Winnetka. We have 113 members from Glencoe. We have 23 members from Kenilworth, and 15 members from Northfield. That totals 461 members, or approximately 69% of Winnetka and our close villages here. I would also add that a lot of the people who come from other neighborhoods and villages have been with us for 20, 30 years. Maybe not 30, but 20 plus. And that's because there wasn't an option at Wilmette or Glenview until 2014. And once those courts opened up, obviously a lot of people who lived in Wilmette would play at Wilmette, you know, but we still have a bunch from Wilmette or Glenview and so on.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Colin, outstanding video, and I just want to commend you on your leadership of the paddle community. They're very fortunate to have you. You've done an outstanding job over the past 8 years.
Thank you.
Excellent job. Thinking about, you highlight potentially, you know, you're not talking about adding new courts right now, but if you think about our current footprint of the courts we have in place, recent addition of 2, do you have a sense for like what the maximum number of paddle players and leagues you could sustain?
So with the current,
you're being very creative.
Right, with the current league structure, it's limited, right? Because so on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday night, and Sunday night, for men, there's 52 clubs, okay? Indian Hill, Skokie Country Club. All the country clubs have courts. There's Wilmette, and so there's 52. And they're all part of the league, so that we can't just unilaterally say we're going to do something different for league play. Same is true for the women's day league, which is Thursday and Friday morning. Thursday morning, Thursday afternoon, Friday morning. Same is true with the Monday night women. They're part of a league that has other clubs involved. We've benefited from the league giving us more clubs than our capacity. What that means is that, for instance, the men during the weeknight, we have 31 teams. Our capacity is 24. What that means is our teams have more away matches. So essentially, we're utilizing their facility more often than we're utilizing our facility. And the league has told us no more. That's it. 31's the most. Okay, that's just where it is. Programmatically, can we do some things differently? Maybe, yeah. There's some parts of the week that might make sense for us to have some sort of league on Friday afternoons for older people who might be retired and not working on Friday afternoons. Saturday afternoons is a soft spot. Sundays are absolutely booked with people wanting to play paddle, practices and social play. So we can maybe pinpoint some times when we might be able to expand programmatically, but sooner or later, we're going to be at capacity, at full capacity.
Thank you. And a couple of years ago, there was such demand for paddle that there was almost a wait list, right? Like that was the creation, I think, of the Sunday night league. Like, so if
That's why we created the Sunday Night League.
Right. So if I were new resident of Winnetka and I wanted to play paddle,
Yes.
what would that look like? Would
We
it
don't
be
have a
hard or
current,
easy? Or?
we don't have a current wait list, except where it's really gonna, it's Monday Night Women is where, and partially because the Women's League does not permit us to go over 8 teams, and that's our capacity. 4 home matches a week on our 8 courts. You take 2 courts per match, 4, and then 4 away. So you only have 8. Now, if they were like the Men's League, they'd give us 10 teams. So we could maybe add another couple teams, but they're not. They're not giving us that option. So Monday Night League. Now with Sunday nights, I think we have 2 women's teams. I think we can add 2 more. I think we can figure out how to do that. So that would give us 12 night league women's teams. We currently have 10, and we have 10 day league teams. Does it keep growing? I don't know. I think so. I really do think so. I mean, people have a lot of fun. They hear about it from their friends. You move to Winnetka, people are like, you got to play paddle. It's like, what's paddle? It's like, well, take a Park District clinic first and figure out what the sport is all about. But then join a league if it piques your interest.
Yeah, I think paddle is one of the greatest ways for newcomers to the community to meet local peers. I've continued to be a strong advocate for the development of the paddle program, and my hope, when my time runs out here at the end of May, that the Park District will continue to support the wonderful program and the development and the great folks like Alan Graham.
I think I recall that you took a clinic to start
I
your
started when I
paddle
first
career.
moved. I knew nobody in Winnetka. I moved to Winnetka. I
Right.
signed up for paddle
Right.
and met a ton of great people.
And now you're playing paddle where?
I retired 3 years ago. Unfortunately, these Achilles don't hold up like they used to.
Yeah, there's that element for sure.
But it's a wonderful sport.
But I think you
I'll be
were
back.
at you public, and then you were at a club
Yeah,
somewhere. Yeah,
I'll be back.
which is not uncommon. There's an awful lot of people in Winnetka who play paddle at their country club.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Commissioner James?
Thank you, Colin, for your commitment to the community, to the paddle folks. It's fantastic. This really is a great relationship between the Park District and the Winnetka Platform Tennis Club. Couldn't ask, well, it's a big ask for you to self-fund. And as you noted, a tiny footprint serving a large number of community members. So fantastic. Continue to support your efforts and congratulate you on the success. And I think that's a great promo piece. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you very much. We've spoken over the years,
Yes.
and we have a very thorough presentation here. So I'd like to ask for a motion. May I have a motion to approve the Winnetka Park District engaging with the Winnetka Paddle Tennis Club to move forward with the next phase of engagement with the Park District to alter design and reapply for permits with the Village of Winnetka, and for staff to work with the Winnetka Paddle Tennis Club to further explore the proposed paddle hut expansion.
So
Second.
That's a roll call vote. Any discussion? Excuse me. I think we already, go ahead.
Commissioner Tyson?
Yes.
Commissioner Root?
Yes.
Commissioner Lesson?
Yes.
Commissioner James?
yes,
Commissioner Kodo?
Yes.
We're still unanimous. Thank
There
you.
you go. Congratulations. Thank you very much. Item 4.2, we have the annual report from Kate Erickson.
Commissioner Cotto, are you planning to do the indemnification thing in our contract?
That passed in consent.
That's passing consent. so
It
we don't
passed
have
in
to-
consent.
Sean Phillips is our attorney on the
Excellent.
board. So we don't have to make.
All
Thank you.
passed in consent.
you're free to go.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
thank you to the board and the community for an impactful 2024. We wanted to provide an annual report, which you'll find at each of your seats, to highlight what our staff has accomplished this past year with the support, of course, of all of you. Community outreach was a large part of our year. We participated in new community events to gain more exposure and develop further relationships within the community. We also developed an On the Horizon campaign just to educate residents about beach improvement projects. We partnered with local organizations such as the National Charity League and the Winnetka Northfield Library in special and unique programming, and of course continued a presence at all of our own events. It's always good when we see you guys at Wednesday in the Woods, so thanks for coming to that. It's always really great to see everyone. Going into operational and administrative highlights with human resources. We processed 234 new hires and rehires while streamlining onboarding and implementing automated health reimbursement arrangements. We increased voluntary retirement savings participations from 25% to 88.6% and introduced competitive new benefits. And we implemented new background check system improving safety and compliance. We actually did 114 of those. As far as finance and IT, we processed over 8.3 million in invoices and reconciled 17 bank statements monthly. We prevented 25,000 in fraudulent activity and implemented enhanced security measures. Reduced annual cell phone expenses by 2,500 through optimized packages and licensing cleanups, and improved board meeting functionality with this great new sound equipment and streamlined agenda creation. And on the administrative side, we cataloged and uploaded all FOIA requests, ordinances, and resolutions from the past decade to the Diligent website for the public. We reviewed and updated sections of the board policy manual and all of the personnel policy manual, aligning with best practices. Began implementation of Power DMS policy management software for better document tracking and accessibility. And we coordinated the comprehensive master plan process with vendors and facilitated community engagement efforts. And marketing, where you'll find me. We increased social media reach over previous years by 110% on Facebook, and Instagram reach by 52% through over 340 posts and 45 videos. And we also developed a more of a advertising strategy through social media as well to reach out to our community and surrounding communities as well. We launched a monthly e-newsletter which hits all of our programming and goes out to over 10,000 subscribers. We created over 78 program and event campaigns. And in order to differentiate our events from our programs, we created over 15 event logos to create brand awareness for the special events and to differentiate ourselves from our actual programs. We also had a nice feather in our cap. We won first place at Agency Showcase at our IPRA's conference this year. We won first place for our virtual brochure. And we also won third place in the sports category of the Give Us Your Best Shot photo contest for a photo called Tug of War that was at Fall Fest this September, and one honorable mention for egg collection, which was taken by Skylar Greenberg. That was taken at the egg hunt last year. And Parks and Facilities was really busy as well this year. Our Our parks team planted 60 saplings and removed invasive species to restore woodland areas at Crow Island Woods and other parks. We completed major repairs and enhancements at Nick Corwin Park, including irrigation and playground updates, supported stormwater management projects with the Village of Winnetka, ensuring sustainable development, and coordinated the installation of new donation benches, picnic tables, and pavers throughout district parks. And over at our facilities, really exciting with golf this year, opened the enhanced 18-hole and 9-hole golf course this past August, drawing 15,813 rounds of play by year's end. Over at Platform Tennis, we upgraded the paddle court infrastructure with new heaters and improved inspection and communication processes. Over at the ice arena, we installed a new sound system in the main area, and we contracted with Live Barn for live video streaming. And at parks, we facilitated some critical maintenance projects, some replacements and irrigation updates throughout multiple parks. And the lakefront, we certified 40 new lifeguards through American Red Cross programs and partnered with Winnetka Fire Department for live scenario training. We launched our Beach Safe campaign, which was done through signage, school presentations, and special event promotions. We did that throughout the summer, and we'll be launching that again this year in 2025. Improved admission processes with new RecTrack point of sale screens and upgraded credit card readers. Introduced Row for All, a new lakefront program. And our lakefront sales really shows some strong community engagement. We sold 5,581 beach passes, 359 dog beach passes, 105 launch passes, and 230 rec rentals. So very busy over at the lakefront. And our recreation team, this is for our programming. We enrolled 1,183 participants in youth athletics, 884 in summer sports camps, and 291 in swim lessons, exceeding participation goals. We partnered with New Trier Aquatics and the Chicago Cub Camp, generating additional revenue and diversifying program offerings, and I think really created a nice buzz around both of those. We cleared $235,000 in longstanding balances on RecTrack, achieved 92% online registration for this past fall, and launched new offerings like family fitness days, astronomy programs, nature walks, creating unique opportunities for our residents. And camps, even with the closure of, or not having the schools available to us, we still managed to host 773 participants across Kitty Camp, Middle School, Madness, and other summer camps, which achieved a 45% profit margin. Speaking to that point I made earlier, we secured Christchurch to ensure uninterrupted camp operations during the District 36 construction closures, and created a part-time camp coordinator position to support daily operations and enhance oversight. We increased the accessibility of specialized camp, including kayak and stand-up paddleboarding, sailing programs with 155 lakefront camp participants. And with our special events, we revamped the summer kickoff at the beach event, made it a little bit more engaging while also being able to clean up the beach with a lot of our community. We always appreciate everyone jumping in and lending a hand with that. Expanded the children's activities during the 4th of July celebration and aligned the Beach Carnival with IPRA's Unplugged Day initiative. And we introduced some new events such as the Doggy Egg Hunt, some pop-up fitness events, and Paws and Popcorn, which was a movie night with our pups. Completed post-event recap reports for all special events in which we summarized financials, logistics, and kind of talked about where we could improve for the next year. And over at ICE, we had field rental, athletics and ICE. Field rental revenue exceeded projections, which earned $575,000, over $575,000, compared to the $422,900 budget. Added a 6th day of group lessons at the ICE Arena, serving 1,900 participants and exceeding revenue targets by 20%. We partnered with Windy City Field Hockey and revamped the pre-hockey program with the Winnetka Hockey Club. We had the highest retention of intermediate and higher level skaters in the past 3 years, which was great, and partnered with Winnetka Hockey Club on an ICE Arena expansion feasibility study. And with golf and tennis, we welcomed over 506 youth participants to Discover Golf programs and achieved a strong engagement following the 18th hole and 9-hole course reopening. We served 1,145 youth and 824 adults in tennis lessons, supported by 721 active tennis members. We hosted a tennis coach certification training event and increased membership participation by enhancing program offerings. Raised $11,000 through the foundation's first golf classic, supported by local sponsors and community partners. So as we head into sustainability and future planning, which has been a big goal of last year, we enhanced irrigation systems and planted native species to improve water efficiencies and park landscapes. We partnered with local schools, volunteers for woodland management and invasive species removal projects. There was a significant completion of stormwater management initiatives at Crow Island Park in collaboration with the village. And we supported sustainable maintenance practices, including the use of electric blowers and eco-friendly materials. And as we are delving deeper to the comprehensive master plan, we advanced Elder Lane and Centennial Park beach improvement projects through design and permitting stages, facilitated community workshops and engagement sessions as part of a district-wide planning process, and we began a long-term planning for synthetic turf replacement and facility upgrades in 2005, going back in time, 2025. So it's been a busy year, and like I said earlier, we appreciate the support from all of you. We couldn't get all of these items accomplished without, our board's support and our community. So thank you. Do you guys have any questions?
Thank you very much, Kate. I love the pictures. Any other comments?
I continue to be amazed by how much, clearly it's documented here, this staff can get done in a year, given the amount of staff that we have. And congratulations on the awards at the
Thank you.
At the conference.
Yeah, it's always fun to get an award. Every once in a while, it's good. So.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
This is a great report. I'm happy to hear it. Thanks.
Great. Thank you.
Thanks, Kate.
Thank you.
Moving on to item number 5, unfinished business, 5.1, Elder Lane and Centennial Park Project Plan Update, Costa and Warren.
Christina, thank you. As the park board is aware, we continue to progress down the road for Elder and Centennial. Currently, most of the progress has been towards Centennial Park currently. We are posed and ready to present next week at the Planning Commission on February 26th. So a week ago yesterday, if you will, at 7 o'clock. The village did release their review and the packet for that meeting this afternoon. So that is up on the village's website. I'd like to note also, we are working through the Elder Lane project as well. And you'll see later on in the agenda, there's an agenda item here, I believe it's 5.2 for the liaisons for the scope review. The current liaison group is working diligently about the stormwater portion of the project, and we are starting to hopefully make some strides on that front as well. I'd also like to take an opportunity to circle back to an agenda item that the board had given to staff in regards to our abilities to open Elder and Centennial now, if you will. Staff has had an opportunity to reach out to the governing bodies. We have heard back from the IDNR, and the report back from the IDNR, based on the information that was presented, is there is no permit required for the cleanup efforts for Elder Lane, which would include the removal of the concrete debris that's shown throughout the lake. Also, that would allow us to remove sections of the pier as well and to bring that discharge pipe back to the west, if you will, nearer to the shore. The efforts for Centennial were met with the same regard, that there would be no permit required for the cleanup efforts there. That would include the removal of the concrete pieces and remnants that we've seen there out on the site and in the water, as well as the timber post pilings that are present. So that was from the IDNR. We did hear back from the Army Corps earlier this week. Unfortunately, there would be a permit requirement. Currently, staff is reviewing whether the requirement would be a regional permit or a national permit, and what our opportunities are to work through those two platforms to be able to present this work. Right now, we feel that the general permit for the regional work would probably be best suited based on the review of the information that was sent to the staff, but that would require a submittal of our plan review to the Army Corps for review, and then assignment of a team leader to then reference and review the project with us. At that point in time, the Army Corps could then review the project and let us know what that would look like as far as permitting and timing of that potential project and approval for that. So currently, that's where we stand on those two items. We have submitted information to the village. We are still waiting to hear back in regards to their review of those items. I believe there's some discussion going on between Shannon and Rob. I have not had a chance to connect with James Bernal on the matter yet, but we do have correspondence into them to find out. So at this point in time, that's the update for Elder Centennial. I'd love to answer any questions that the board might have this evening before turning it over to Warren for the items on the agenda that he has requested.
Okay, let's go around the room. Jeff, do you have any questions for Costa?
I do not.
Okay.
Thank you.
Commissioner Root?
Thank you, Costa, for following through to see if we can get Elder open this summer. With respect to the requirement for a permit from the Corps, is that related to actual removal of debris, or is that more related to trying to do something with the pier, or is there a differentiation?
From what I've reviewed with their regional general permit application, any work below the Oregon high water mark needs to be permitted. So whether it's debris removal and the extent of that permitting requirement, or it would be removal of sections of the pier that are damaged, or greater sections of the pier, either one of those, or any of those, I should say, would require permit action. To what extent? Without having the ability to connect with a member of their team to review the project scope and better understand their interpretation of our plan and how we execute on that plan, it's hard for me to say. So my next step is to put forward a letter of engagement with the Corps to outline the scope of work and services and get that information back from them.
And I keep asking this question because of ancient work with the TNRCC, where if you had an emergency situation, there was an expedited process. I don't know if that is applicable for the Corps.
I am unaware that they would interpret our project as an emergency, because this has been the same stance, or the project scope has been the same scope for the last several years. Not necessarily an emergency, more of a want to expedite opening the park sites or the beach site for the community. So in their eyes and interpretation, I think it's going to be hard for us to present an emergency capacity, but I won't be able to answer that question until I have that correspondence with the Corps.
Thank you.
No questions for me.
Okay. Commissioner James?
Costa, thank you very much for the work. I know that we have a conceptual plan or schematic plan to remove 120 feet of the concrete pier plus the steel end section. I'm hoping that you can advance that plan and develop the scope of work, and if possible, at least get the word out and figure out who, if anyone, has the capacity to undertake this work this year. Obviously, we have to go through a permitting process, but if people aren't aware that this job is available or might be coming up, we don't want to be caught behind the 8 ball on that one. Obviously, this is new news regarding the Army Corps. Let's see what we can do to expedite a favorable response.
Okay. I don't have any questions. We get frequent updates. So, do you have a question?
I have an update.
Excellent.
So, in relation to the zoning application that we are pursuing for Centennial, at the ZBA hearing and at the Plan Commission hearing, there have been questions about us guaranteeing pedestrian access to travel to the south, at the south end of Centennial, outside of the Dog Beach. I had a conversation with David Williams, and he gave me permission to express publicly that his client is happy to cooperate with us to guarantee that there's pedestrian access around the Dog Beach to the bottom of the stone steps on his stone breakwater.
That's great.
Perfect. Great news. Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm. I
Okay.
think there's a question.
Yeah.
Is Mr. Williams willing to put that in writing so that we have that and can file it of record?
I would imagine that is the case.
But I talked to him at like 4:55 today.
But what I'm asking is, can we please get that memorialized in writing? And does this also extend about access across 261? You know, we've been trying to get an easement for construction across 261. It'd be great if that could be lumped in too, so there's no chance that someone is going to be cited for trespassing walking across 261.
Well, certainly, they have the right to walk along the ordinary high water mark
Understood.
at 261. And so I think that's probably what their position is in respect to 261. I would speculate that once we have more clarity about what we're going to build, he'll engage with us about all of the easements and licenses all at one time.
Thank
It'd be
you.
great to get it in the letter though, if possible.
Thank you, Heather.
Mhm.
Thank you. Costa.
Just wanted to also follow up, the board did ask for a continued scope cost of what we spent year to date, so we try to report that every board meeting. Currently, for the 2025 year, thus far, we have spent $6,097.50 on the project, and then for roughly around $5,000 for FOIA requests and litigation. So combined, just over $11,000. The year-to-date tracking from 2019 to current, we've spent about $2.2 million overall on this project from start to finish. So I just wanted to follow up as that was a request from the board previously.
Thanks. Thanks, Costa. Now we have Warren's presentation. Okay. We're going to keep it to,
I'm going to ask for you to put that up there, but I'm just going to make some remarks and trust that everyone will take the time to carefully review the information that's been presented. Let's see.
Madam Chair, before
Yes.
Commissioner James starts, after he completes his presentation, will there be time for questions from the board?
we'll go around the.
Thank you so
circle.
much.
Yes, go ahead.
The Park District has endeavored to educate and inform the public at every turn. Public outreach efforts span years with dozens of meetings, multiple open houses, presentations, FAQs, farmers markets, etc., etc. Based on the questions received from the Plan Commission, it appears that there's still more work to be done. I can't fault the Plan Commissioners. They've been put in an unenviable position trying to discern the facts while assimilating a large body of background information. Geology of the Great Lakes, erosion, wave propagation, bluff protection, beach preservation, littoral drift, lake bed down cutting, headland beach system, piers, jetties, breakwaters, groins, hydrodynamic analyses, long and short-term lake level influences and impacts of climate change, and the difference between a coastal expert and a coastal engineer. And even if they master that information, then they need to be able to properly apply the concepts to past and proposed improvements to understand the dynamic nature of Lake Michigan, and that's without even beginning to contemplate the regulatory and legal environment. The exhibits prepared in connection with the answers to the questions posed by the Plan Commission are intended to further educate and inform the Plan Commissioners and the public. They're also an effort to demonstrate the time and resources that have been dedicated to improving the lakefront at Elder and Centennial Parks. The Plan Commission submitted a compilation of 86 questions that runs 6 pages. The Park District replied on Monday with a 5-page narrative prepared by staff and council. 23 pages of specific answers to each of the 86 questions, referencing 14 exhibits, totaling another 389 pages, providing definitions of technical terms, detailed explanations with pictures, plans, statistics, imagery, and links to even more documents to help the layperson understand the dynamic nature of Lake Michigan, the forces and factors that we need to address, along with the legal and regulatory background data, and how and why the Park District arrived at its plans. Most of the exhibits include compilations of information previously presented. A few of the exhibits are new and deserve closer examination. Tonight, I've asked to include 4 of the 14 exhibits on the agenda, as I believe they provide critical answers and insight. First, the Elder Centennial Plan evolution between January of 23 and January of 25. Then the Dog Beach and Dog Park and beach history and consideration of alternatives. The Illinois Beach State Park and adjacent areas. And finally, a collection of videos of the Winnetka beaches. With respect to the Elder Centennial Plan evolution, the Elder Centennial Plan evolution explains how the WPD arrived at the May of 2023 plans. It includes a link to the resolution passed on May 25th, authorizing and directing staff to prepare and submit permit applications. It further describes how the village's half-dozen ordinances passed in 2023 and early 24, including the 9-month abeyance period, compelled further revision and permitting delays. While I'm pleased that we're now advancing the much-needed cleanup efforts, we should also be moving expeditiously to approve the entire set of plans for Elder and Centennial through an IGA negotiation. And that is unless the Plan Commission wants to continue with another multi-hour presentation. The Dog Park and Dog Beach history addresses the origins of the park, the origins of the Dog Beach, and how the Park District resolved to keep it in the same location as it has been for the past 30 years. The exhibit illustrates the contemplated alternate location at Tower and the reasons why the board determined it was better to keep it at Centennial, while also agreeing to limit shoreline allocation to approximately 240 feet and allow people of all abilities to have access and use of the balance of the beach at Centennial Park. The Illinois Beach State Park exhibit, this has been referenced several times during the Plan Commission presentation. It contains several links to informative presentations detailing the $73 million project completed by the state of Illinois. What's important for Winnetkins to understand is that it is not an apt comparison to what we're addressing at Elder and Centennial, nor is it safer. The Illinois Beach State Park includes 6.5 miles of shoreline. The recently completed improvement spans 2.2 miles and extends as much as 800 feet offshore. Of equal importance is the fact that the Illinois Beach State Plan was the last truly natural stretch of Illinois shoreline for Lake Michigan. Elder and Centennial is only 1,000 feet. and the entire 1,000 feet of shoreline already has bluff protection, though 330 feet is in need of replacement. Both the Illinois Beach State Park and the Elder Centennial Beach Plan have beach restoration and preservation components to the plan. But the Illinois Beach State Park approach is vastly larger scale and not analogous to Elder and Centennial. Most notably, the Illinois Beach State Park is north of Waukegan Harbor. It benefits from as much as 94% more sand in the littoral system than what remains south of Waukegan Harbor. Finally, so I'll let you keep going. If you can pause on this for a second, the Waukegan Harbor.
Yep.
That picture there shows the Waukegan Harbor improvements. Those are completed in the early 1900s. That further outermost breakwater is 3,500 feet from the inner part of the harbor. The inner part of the harbor. Go down to the next slide. Go to the next slide. That's 3,500 feet from the tip of that to there. What happens as a consequence of Waukegan, if you go to the next slide, the sand accretes on the north side of that breakwater, and what makes it pass gets pushed into deeper water. So the Army Corps, if you go to the next slide, that's the Great Lakes. That's further south than that. You can see that has the same effect. That extends 2,500 feet into the lake. And then the next slide. The Army Corps estimates that 225,000 cubic yards of sand naturally migrates in the littoral system south, crossing the state line, but only 14,000 makes it past Waukegan and Great Lakes. That's why the balance of the shoreline of the North Shore has already been hardened against bluff erosion. The very few exceptions, one of which was our own Lloyd Beach. And you saw what happened to Lloyd in 2020 with the last high water. The big change, or the last high water occurred in 1986. There was a decision made by the Park District during that period to install sheet piling at Centennial, which had collapsed into the lake, and at Elder. And that sheet piling remains in good condition, and it protected the bluff. However, there's about a 300-foot stretch of Elder that they took a less robust approach. That's what we're talking about replacing, plus a 30-foot section at the corner, at the northernmost end of Centennial. So bluff protection versus beach preservation is further explained. Finally, there's a collection of videos, and I hope you'll be able to find this link and watch these. It's intended to acknowledge that still photos can't capture the dynamic nature of the lake. The first series in the collection is over 5 beaches: Tower, Lloyd, Maple, Elder, and Centennial, all taken on the same day. You can just go up to that first one. Just go to the first slide, if you will. Just click on those. These are just a few minutes apart, and you could see the wave action at Tower crashing into the end of the pier. When you go to the Lloyd one now, and you could see how different the waves respond to a headland beach system. The energy is dissipated, the waves diffract and spread out on the shore. And obviously, the placement of those is such that it protects the bluff. The other videos show the destructive force of the waves when they're allowed to break close to shore or break violently against the piers at Tower, Lloyd, and Maple that have vertical sides with our armor stone to dissipate and diffract wave energy. I hope everyone will take the time to watch the videos and better understand the benefits of the headland beach system implemented at Lloyd Beach. There's a lot more in there in our response, so any questions? And if anybody wants to reach out to me, I'm happy to meet you at the beach, talk you through all these concepts, and explain the how and why. Thank you for indulging me.
Thank you very much. Okay, let's go around the circle for questions. Jeff? No questions. Mr. Root?
I actually have a handout. please. I started reviewing your presentation, Warren, and I really enjoyed the videos. I think they're very powerful. Your Exhibit 2 was somewhat problematic because I felt that there were a lot of what lawyers would call errors of omission, where I think what you're trying to suggest is that the dog beach ended up at the southern 172 feet of Centennial because of community desire. And I think your timeline needs to be amended to include some important dates. One being our August, I believe it was August 25th of 2022.
Excuse me, this is the same document that you've already circulated to all of us,
I have,
right? Okay,
but
so
but
we've
attached
already
to
read
it, well, you may have.
Yeah.
But if Commissioner James has had an opportunity to do a brief presentation, let me just hit the highlights of my concern with Exhibit 2.
Okay, do you have a
And
question?
I can make it into a question.
Sure.
Why is it that you omitted the reference to the August 25th, 2022 board meeting when we identified 6 possible plans for Centennial and chose Centennial 6? Why is it that there was an omission of the many meetings of the Dog Beach Advisory Council that started meeting in December of 2021 with the last meeting in September 21st of 2022 and appeared before, what was there, an omission of the Dog Beach Advisory Committee formally appearing before this board on September 12th of 2022 with a complete proposal of what the recommendation was, and that was to relocate the Dog Beach to Tower Beach. Why is it that you omitted the question number 10 from the 22 caucus survey, where caucus actually asked the community based on the Dog Beach
Do you have
advisory?
one question or many questions?
I have many. What I'm trying to do is
Okay.
to say that this Exhibit 2 is not complete, and it gives a very skewed, in my opinion, view of how we ended up with the Dog Beach where it is.
Okay, so we have this document from you. We
You do.
have Warren's additional documents.
I understand.
And we can add these into the record. If you have a question pertinent to the points that he made for this presentation, do you mind asking that?
I will be happy to ask the question.
Okay.
Why is it that you omitted Mr. Ishbia's comments on September 8th of 2022 when he came to our board meeting and he stood up and he said, "I love Centennial 5 with one exception. I want to see a perpetual dog beach on the southern half," and he defined it as fenced dog beach, "on the southern half of Centennial in perpetuity."
So
That was
those
also
comments are
omitted.
right. So those comments are already in the public record from that meeting. They're already in the minutes. So
They
there's no,
well may be.
yeah, there's no
but-
reason to include them again.
But seeing that we are revisiting so many things, going back to, I believe you started your timeline maybe in the 1990s, I want to revisit these points also, because I think we are being disingenuous to our community if they do not understand that there has been a great impetus by a special interest to have certain things built into this design. The community understands that.
We're not gonna go
And I suspect that may be one of the reasons that the community has been somewhat discontented. Thank you.
there. Okay, I think you've stated your piece. Okay.
As a
And
commissioner,
this is-
I believe I
Yeah.
have that opportunity.
No, no. Any other questions?
No questions for me.
Okay. I have no questions. I appreciate the presentations. I know that there is much, much more background information regarding all of these plans. It's been a long 6 years for me on this board, and I know that some of these meetings have gone on till midnight, so I know that there's a lot more information than what was able to be distilled. But I'm grateful for the efforts for everyone here to try and to distill them in a fashion that we can present them to the Zoning Board of Appeals. So, thank you very much for that. We're
Madam
moving
Chair,
on.
may I ask one other question?
I think you had your chance.
Well,
We had time
I
to
know,
prepare.
but we have allowed Commissioner James to spend many hours.
He is on the agenda.
I know.
And
Yeah,
we.
I just have
I'm-
one question.
I'm just gonna have to say, we've completed our questions. We all
Then-
had time to prepare.
I know, it's like school.
I-
This is quick.
I know.
I would
I'm
ask
gonna say
one
no.
thing.
Yeah,
I would ask,
I'm gonna say no.
then you
okay.
will not remove the names of the residents in.
Those are all in the public record. I'm going to say no to the question.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to item 5.2, Elder Lane and Centennial Park and Beach IGA Liaison Scope. I am asking for a motion to amend the scope of the subject matter the Elder Lane Beach Stormwater IGA team is authorized to negotiate, but not approve, in order to include, the Elder Lane Beach Stormwater IGA, the necessary and relevant village permits to facilitate the reopening of Elder Lane and Centennial Beaches for the 2025 season, and C, all zoning-related approvals for Centennial Park and Beach and Elder Lane Park and Beach, and ask the board to pause the current permitting process for Elder and Centennial until we are advised by the IGA team that they can't reach an agreement. May I have that motion?
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
Okay, discussion?
We already brought up the point that we would like to get the beaches open as quickly as possible. And if this is a path forward to make that happen as soon as possible, I think it's the right thing to do for all involved and for our public.
Commissioner Root?
I had heard a rumor. In fact, it was one of our resident IGA representatives who had served on the village, that there was an effort to pause this so there could be further, shall we say, cool down. My concern with this is that we promised the community that we would not take this project behind closed doors and try to avoid public participation. And I'm very curious about this expansion because I'm trying to understand, trying to get Elder Beach open for this season and how that interfaces with this very elaborate plan that is currently before the Plan Commission. So I'd like an answer on, it just seems to me that we could bifurcate getting Elder Beach open for our community and talking to the village about that without having to try to embrace this entire project. That's a question.
Commissioner Lessing?
I am all in favor of continuing the IGA process. I would not recommend pausing the process. I think
The
those are,
permitting. Pausing the permitting.
yeah, I would not encourage pausing the permitting, as I think those are two work streams that can work concurrently. And for the reasons Commissioner Root highlighted, if we are, there could be delays on the IGA side that would prevent any possibility of Elder or Centennial work being done. So, just my thoughts.
Commissioner James?
I am supportive of pausing the Plan Commission hearing for 1 month in order that we continue to meet with the village representatives and expand the scope. The comments that I'm hearing through the Plan Commission process, as I just said, indicate to me that there's not a full understanding of all the technical information. And having dumped 400 pages and then some, I think it deserves time for them to absorb it. We also have the opportunity to move forward with substantive improvements to Elder and Centennial if this is successful. What I don't think people understand is the rationale that we changed our desired plans from March of '23 to what we submitted for permit last year. because we felt compelled by the village ordinance. And what I'm hearing is that people don't like what we're proposing, and so people need to understand why the plan was changed. And I think if we were able to discuss this amongst the decision makers, and ultimately it's the 7 of us and it's the 7 of them at the village trustees that will make the decision. And I think it deserves further face-to-face or down at the beach discussion, explanation. Let's take the time.
I have a couple of comments. Number one, we have new information. When we originally decided not to go with an IGA for the entire process, we did not have the benefit of 15 hours of zoning board of appeals hearings. We now know what those hearings are, and what I expected would be an iterative process where we would get some conditions around an approval, specifically safety, bathrooms, and parking, did not yield that result. It was a flat denial. So I think that a process where we could have an iterative back and forth, which is within the IGA negotiating team process, with 4 of the 5 people having successfully negotiated the West Winnetka stormwater project previously. I think that doesn't take away any authority from this board to approve final plans, doesn't take away any authority from the trustees to approve final plans, but it gives us a chance to allow them to come to an agreement back and forth. And I'd like to see what that looks like. I'm in favor of pausing the permitting process to see if we can get an agreement. And as originally stated, I would keep the language the same. So I'd like to hear people's thoughts on the pause. We have one individual who wants to pause for a month. I'd like to pause it indefinitely until we hear back from the Plan Commission that we from the negotiating team that we can't reach an agreement, and we have don't pause it at all. So I'd like to reach some consensus on the pause piece, but I think expanding the scope seems to have some consensus. Jeff, would you like to talk about the pause?
I was hoping to hear,
Give it a minute. There you go.
I'm back, from the 3 commissioners who made the various suggestions. I was hoping to hear a little more detail from them on their rationale before
The
deciding.
pause, or the not pause. Not pause. Eric?
Or temporary pause.
Yes. Make the case for not pause.
In my simple approach, I think what I perceive as some urgency to try to get the project, the cleanup moving forward, and pausing the process, I think, can jeopardize some of that overall urgency and ability to get some of this stuff done. I'm all in favor of the IGA working out. I think that'd be a fabulous outcome for everybody. I don't know if we need to stop altogether.
Pause for 1 month.
And 1 month is, perhaps I could get around that. Seems like a reasonable compromise.
Pause for 1 month.
I'd love to hear the thoughts, Warren.
Okay, I'm going to reiterate, there's a ton of education that needs to be done based upon the questions. And I would welcome the opportunity to have a public session on the beach with the plans to anybody that is interested in understanding. Please, there are so many exhibits that we've pumped out for that Plan Commission presentation. I understand it's now available through the village's website. Is that accurate? So, educate yourself. If we want to have a meeting at the beach in the next month, I'm happy to do it. But we have so many iterations of this plan that address the specific issues. Pick one and let's move forward. We don't need to go through another process. The physical conditions that exist today aren't going to change. They need to be addressed. That pier isn't going to heal itself.
So we have pause for 1 month, which would bring us to March 20th, which happens to be our next board meeting. We have pause for 1 month is agreeable to you? Okay,
Seems like a reasonable compromise.
okay. Where are you?
I like the temporary pause.
Okay.
I don't like the word indefinite. I think we can revisit our decision after the temporary pause and extend if necessary.
Okay.
So that way we don't lose all the momentum, as Eric mentioned, but at the same time, as Warren mentions, we give the Planning Commission time to digest the
Absorb.
348 pages or
Okay.
whatever it ends up being. So I think that's.
And I think you're still, don't expand the scope at all.
My focus is what we can do to get Elder open after 5 years right now. This is the immediate focus. What I don't perhaps appreciate is how we expand an IGA, wrap in this huge big plan with the idea that we can maybe move that forward along with getting Elder open. I'm concerned about that. This project got bogged down because it was one that started in November of 2020 in secret and went until February of 22 before the public actually knew what was going on. And so I think the optics here of pausing and then going into a very small group with only one park commissioner, and that bothers me greatly, and we talked about that during the last board meeting. But typically, when we as a board would negotiate, we always had another commissioner at the table, and that's missing right
So
now.
we're focusing now on the
I understand
pause
that.
and the scope.
I
So
understand.
Let's really
And I'm
stay
trying to
tight on that.
I am being very tight on that. I think a 30-day pause for people to sit back and regroup is very reasonable. However, I hope that we are continuing to advance, get Elder open for our summer season. I hope that is continuing. I would agree to a 30-day pause. I also do not believe, Commissioner James, that the members of the Plan Commission or the Zoning Board do not understand. I think you might be surprised how well they understand. I think this community has learned a great deal through this process for the past 5 years and know a lot more about shoreline issues than they did 5 years ago.
Okay. All right, so we have Jeff agreeing to a 1 month pause. We have Commissioner Root, fine, and expanding the scope. Okay, expanding the scope, 1 month pause, expanding the scope, 1 month pause. Oh,
Yes.
Okay,
Do what-
we're gonna
let me
make the
link-
motion.
Let me link it, please.
I'd
Let me link-
rather
let
you
me
wouldn't.
Just
Please, as a matter
It's
of,
very
no, please,
important to
don't.
me that you let me explain the linkage.
I-
Please, please.
Warren,
Christina,
each
we are
person
here
has
to
a-
educate the public.
each person has
We
had
are
a
here to
turn.
educate the public. A question was raised, it needs to be answered.
I'm
It
sorry,
needs to be
as a
answered.
point of order, we have each had a turn to prepare, we have each had a turn
A
to say our
question
piece.
was raised in the discussion and I'm seeking to answer it. Allow me to answer it,
Make
please.
it brief.
If we cut off the pier, we need to have, that is a short-term solution.
Correct.
We will be necessarily rerouting the storm sewer. I do not want people to think that we're intending to leave the stormwater discharging at the beach level. That is part and parcel of the negotiation right now. That's stormwater. But we will then be looking at the north groin.
That's
And
fine.
that should bookend and match what we intend to do in the south end. That's why you want to expand this.
Right. Okay, we have a motion, we have a second, we've had our discussion. I'm going to make an amendment to this motion. And to pause for 1 month. Until the March 20th Winnetka Park District Board meeting, until March 20th, 2025. The current permitting process for Elder and Centennial until we are, and then I'm going to strike until we are advised that they can't reach an agreement. Okay, does everybody have that amendment to the language? Okay.
Madam Chair, I'd like to further amend it. I don't have the language in front of me, but with a focus on what can be agreed to get Elder open for the 2025 season.
It's right here. Facilitate the reopening of Elder Lane and Centennial Beaches for the 2025 season. It's right here in there.
But if we are talking about doing massive things with the pier, my concern is that that will cause gridlock instead of what we can do to make it safe to get it open for 2025.
I think the priority is clearly stated in this motion. Okay. Lisa, that's a roll call vote.
And
Go ahead.
just, there's nothing that rescinds the direction that the board
Correct.
gave staff to pursue expeditiously the reopening of the beaches this summer. And so that still stands and doesn't conflict with this motion.
Correct.
Does there need to be a motion to the amendment?
Do you want?
Who made the original motion?
Warren?
Oh, sorry.
So you asked for it, and so who made it?
You want to remake it?
Sure. Do you want me to remake it as amended, or do you want me to ask?
Did I
the-
make it or did I second?
I think you, who did you have written down as making a motion?
Christina made the motion, Warren approved the motion.
So Christina asked for a motion.
Correct, yes, and then Jeff seconded the motion.
So do you approve the motion as amended?
Yes.
Do you second the motion as amended?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. All right, now we'll vote on the motion as amended. That's a roll call.
Commissioner Lusson?
Yes.
Commissioner Root?
Yes.
Commissioner James?
Yes.
Commissioner Tyson?
Yes.
Commissioner Kodo?
Yes. Okay, that motion passes. Item 5.3, Crow Island Woods Restoration Update, Costa.
Before we go there, Madam Chair, may I ask a clarifying question?
Yes.
Does that mean that the Plan Commission meeting for next Wednesday will be delayed?
Postponed, yes.
And we have reached agreement with the village that that will occur?
We're the applicant, so we can ask
Okay.
them to just continue it.
So you're asking, we will formally ask for
We will
continuance?
formally ask them to.
Thank you for the
to-
clarification.
It'll be on the agenda for Wednesday for
Yeah.
the sake of them continuing it, so we won't have to republish.
Thank you.
Okay, item 5.3, Crow Island Woods Restoration Update.
Christina, thank you. To recap where things are currently, the board might be aware of action that the village council took on their consent agenda on February 18th, earlier this week. The village council went ahead and approved the amendment, or in this case, a change order number 2 in the amount of $318,000 for work outlined to DeMayo Brothers to complete the work that was agreed upon in the attached letter dated January 16th, 2025 from Rob Bahan, village manager, outlining the scope of work, which was the agreed upon work from the meeting of James Bernal, Shannon Nazal, Dr. Kelly Tess, Patrick Chang from GEI Consultants, that's our consulting firm, as well as Strand Associates. That work has been approved through council with the change order as I suggested. The work that is outlined in the letter will take place as soon as conditions allow. Between the temperatures as well as ground conditions, they're going to mobilize and get things scheduled for as soon as that work is possible. So we are looking to progress on that front. I've had an opportunity to connect with Patrick Chang from GEI today as well to affirm their efforts, and we will be circling back with the board with direction if there's any additional consulting that is needed. At this point in time, we don't believe there is, based on what the village's scope is and what was agreed upon. But if there is additional information that is needed, we will bring that back to the park board for review. I'd like to entertain any questions the board might have.
Thank you very much. I'll start with Jeff. Is the plan today? Jeff, do you have any questions?
No questions.
Commissioner Root?
Just thank you, Costa.
Great outcome, thank you.
Can you provide a plan exhibit that illustrates the limits of the remediated area? Can you circulate that and publish that so we know exactly
That plan exhibit was part of the agenda packet for the village council meeting. That was attached into their agenda item executive summary from James Bernal. So the limits of that construction, as well as that outline for that scope of work, was included with that. So that can be found on the village's website and is outlined.
Specifically, this excludes D36.
The limits of the work are for Park District owned properties.
Does it include, or do they plan on remediating anything in the Euclid Avenue right-of-way and that extension that leads down to Sunset?
The scope of work that was identified for this change order does not include the Euclid right-of-way. I don't know the village's intentions on that property. We talked and discussed Park District owned property, and that's what was approved in this last scope of work. I know that the village and the school district are still working together with their consultants to come up with an option that both parties can agree to, and I'm not sure what additional action the village might take in regards to the Euclid right-of-way at this time.
Thank you.
Moving on to item number 6, new business. 6.1, the policy manual update, chapter 5, sponsorship and donations. Kate?
Okay, so now we're talking about sponsorship and donations. Where are you? What these proposed changes aim to do is to establish a structured process for recognizing outgoing sponsorships and donations, introduce formal application and review requirements, defines financial approval thresholds for incoming and outgoing contributions, strengthens advertising and sponsorship guidelines, and enhances transparency and administrative oversight, and indicating that donations to outside organizations are only in kind. So these changes are kind of what formulated this plan. The process of the recognition of the sponsorship and donations it's really to support outside organizations as well as eligibility, kind of looking at eligibility criteria in a more finite way. The purpose, and we really must kind of include the community benefit around it. And anything large, the board then would review for, kind of larger requests. The advertising and sponsorship guidelines will highlight and reinforce non-competition with Park District programs and services, requires advertising to meet with the aesthetic and ethical standards of the Park District, and prohibits unauthorized advertising and outlines removal procedures. We'll also be defining approval authority for advertising and sponsorship agreements. Oops, I got you. Oh, there, thank you. Yep. Okay. Both donation and sponsorship, from an administrative and oversight and transparency perspective, will require all incoming and outgoing contributions to be documented in public financial reports, and will introduce regular policy reviews to ensure alignment with mission and compliance, and will establishes conflict of interest disclosures for staff and board members, and strengthen enforcement measures for policy compliance. The financial approval thresholds, we'll kind of look at, the executive director will be authorized to approve unrestricted donations up to $30,000, restricted donations up to $5,000, and in-kind sponsorships up to $30,000 can be approved within the budget. And some examples of this would be like retail merchandise, event space, tickets. That's the kind of in-kind donations we're talking about. Larger contributions will require park board approval. Does anyone, that pretty much sums it up, does anyone have any questions based on anything that you looked over previously or throughout this presentation?
I'm going to go around the room here yet again. You've all had time to look at this. I think this has been circulated for since Friday, and then in final version since Tuesday. So, Jeff, I don't know if you have any questions.
I do not at this time.
Okay. Commissioner Root?
Kate, first of all, thank you for the presentation and what was pulled together. It's very nice. Thank you.
Okay.
I have a number of questions.
Okay.
One, I was trying to figure out what our sponsorships are now. And so I went to the decennial committee report, and there was a list. I think it would be very helpful, and you're probably light years ahead on this, if we could somehow be able to itemize exactly what we sponsor right now, what are the terms of the sponsorship, it would go a long way. I'm sure you're working on that.
Well, I think a lot of this is twofold. What this is primarily speaking to is sponsorships that are incoming or outgoing to the outside community. So it's not necessarily the sponsorships, what we generally think of as sponsorships, like, you know, when we have Fall Fest and we have a number of our community partners that will choose to be a sponsor.
I understood that.
Okay.
Actually, the policy presents sponsorships where money's coming in and where money's going out.
Right,
All right, understood.
So it's both. In, just for transparency, we're trying to put a line in the sand and start a more structured, organized process going forward. So I'm not going to say that what our sponsorships are now are irrelevant, but we're not talking about a budget for this right now. We're only talking about setting a policy in place to structure our decision-making and monetary, decision-making with respect to these activities. So just to help the board to understand what the posture of this is, we're not asking for money right now. We're not putting a budget in place right now. We're just sort of asking for policy direction on the structure of this program.
Thank you, Counselor. I understood that. Again, sometimes it's helpful to have concrete examples that you can look at when you're trying to look at an abstract policy. And so it was just a suggestion. Explain on the unrestricted donation of $30,000, is that also a donation of staff time?
No, yes, yeah, yes and no. I mean, I think this kind of pulls together some guidelines on that so that staff time isn't being spent too much staff time isn't being put into, let's say helping a sponsor with, an event they might be having. So it's going back to it's in-kind donations, and it is around, it has to be a nonprofit as well, so.
But giving the executive director authority, $30,000 for many of our park district employees would be a third of their salary. So it seems to me like it is somewhat a high number.
And that's something that we can, maybe take back to, executive director Nazal.
Let's see what the other questions
But
are.
thank
on
you,
the board.
that's enough.
Is that it?
Thank you. Commissioner Lawson?
It's great to see the policy in place. Thank you.
Commissioner James?
No comments.
Okay. I think you've done a lot of work trying to build a framework that we can all work on.
Yeah.
I think this is a good framework. I think when we have had requests specifically for paddle and previously the design work that was asked for ICE. Thank you very much for the multipurpose center. I think we've been transparent in trying to articulate exactly what the scope of those is. So I have every confidence that this effort is going to yield the same results if there are any large requests going forward. May I have a motion to adopt Resolution 2025-02-2002, updating sections 510, 515, and 524 of the Board Policy Manual?
So moved.
That's Eric. Second is Jeff Tyson. Any additional discussion? Yes.
I would like to discuss limiting the authority of the executive director to a number under 30,000, somewhere in the range of 15.
The current purchasing authority for the executive director is at 30.
Correct.
Okay. It maps to what the existing structure is.
Oh, I understand that.
Yeah.
But this is a different topic.
Correct.
And I always think it's a great idea when we get into sponsorships that the board is informed before we do them. Just a comment.
Does anyone want to support that amendment?
Different comment.
Okay. Did you already make
I
a
would.
comment?
No.
Oh.
Go ahead.
I would support that. The concept of spending limits with tangible assets is different than sponsorship dollars, in my mind.
Comment?
I just wanted to clarify, I think the two examples of assisting hockey and platform tennis are not apt, because those are park district assets. We own the ice rink. We own the platform tennis facility. So when we devote staff time to the betterment of those, that is us improving our own assets. That's a distinction of us volunteering time for a third-party event that is not sponsored by the park district. So when we made the commitment tonight to sponsor the paddle, to work with them, we should be thanking them for taking up the banner and leading that effort. It's a distinction. These are park district assets.
Okay.
So can I clarify something?
Yes.
There are sponsorships and there are donations. And the easiest way I can distinguish between them are sponsorships are limited to outside organizations that are doing a recreational activity, are standing in our shoes, and we are supporting them, providing recreational services to the public. Whereas a donation is just community support, community relations, bridge building, being a good neighbor. The $30,000 only applies to the sponsorships, not the donations. So just want to clarify that. So the distinction, in my opinion, for whatever it's worth, is that the $30,000 only goes towards outside organizations that are standing in our shoes, expanding recreational activities.
Got it.
Understood. I think we would agree it's a lot.
I don't want to speak for you. So I have no problem with sponsorships. I just want to see them come to the board for review and approval. And to me, 30,000 is a lot. And I don't see the difficulty in having the executive director present the proposal for board review and approval. That's really where I am on this.
Awareness.
Thank you. Yes, public, very, very important. Thank you. I agree with you.
Okay, so we have a $15,000 limit for sponsorships with anything over that comes to the board. How do you feel about that?
I'm fine with that.
Fine with that?
Fine.
Fine, okay.
Sponsorships or donations?
Sponsorship.
Sponsorships.
Donations is 400.
In-kind
Yes.
sponsorship. In-kind, yeah.
In-kind sponsorships,
Mhm.
perfect. And, okay, in-kind sponsorships. So we're changing the wording, and Adam, can you point me to the place where we're changing that?
Yeah, it's in 5.2, no, hold on.
It's okay. I just want to make sure that everyone amends it on their copy. 5.24 is donation.
5.10, section 2. Section 2B1. 5.10, section 2B1.
Oh, we got there.
Page 232.
It's just page, I have it on page 234. Oops. You have 232? Oh, you're right. Okay. Page 232 of the packet, number 1, B1, in-kind sponsorships with a value to the Park District of under $30,000. We're changing that to under $15,000. Correct?
That's the motion.
Okay. All right. May I have a motion to amend the policy as described?
So moved.
Okay.
Second.
Okay. Now we're voting on the amendment, on the change to the policy, so that's a roll call.
Commissioner Root?
Yes.
Commissioner Lusson?
Yes.
Commissioner Tyson?
Yes.
Commissioner James?
Yes.
Commissioner Kodo?
Yes. Okay, and now we're voting on the motion. May I have a motion to adopt Resolution 2025-02-20-02, updating sections 5.10, 5.15, and 5.24 of the Policy Board Manual.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Lawson? Any additional discussion? That's a roll call vote.
Commissioner James?
Yes.
Commissioner Lusson?
Yes.
Commissioner Root?
Yes.
Commissioner Tyson?
Yes.
Commissioner Kodo?
Yes. That motion passes. Enterprise facilities, full-time KPI staff bonuses fiscal year 2024, Elisa. We're keeping you very busy tonight, Elisa.
Okay, 2024. So dating back to 2016, with prior leadership and prior executive directors, a KPI, key performance indicator staff bonus for the enterprise funds was implemented to recognize the facility staff, the full-time facility staff at each of the enterprise funds that essentially run their business without any tax dollars to supplement their bottom line. They have received these for the past 9 years. The amounts that they're given annually have not been tied to really any sort of metrics, and it's really been focused on the year-end net operating income. So for 2024 fiscal year, which we just wrapped up, we are recommending and asking the board to approve a KPI bonus for 5 full-time employees, a total amount of $16,500 to recognize them of their hard work in the fiscal year 2024.
So may I have a motion to approve the fiscal year 2024 KPI total annual bonus of $16,500 for 5 full-time employees within AC Nielsen Tennis Center and Winnetka Ice Arena, awarding $5,000 each to 2 facility managers, $2,500 to the director of tennis, and $2,000 each to the 2 assistant facility managers.
So moved.
Second.
Root, Tyson. Motion and second. Any additional discussion? Okay, seeing none, that's a roll call vote.
Commissioner Lusson?
Yes.
Commissioner James?
Yes.
Commissioner Root?
Yes.
Commissioner Tyson?
Yes.
Commissioner Kodo?
Yes. Moving on to item 6.3, enterprise facilities, full-time KPI staff bonuses fiscal year 2025. Elisa.
We decided that there should be some metrics moving forward for the KPI incentive that has something that measures their annual bonus, essentially. And so for 2025, we set some metrics for each position focused on 5 areas: operational efficiency, customer satisfaction and retention, program enrollment and event participation, employee training and development, and goal achievement. So essentially those 5 sections would weigh 20% of the amount that they could receive. So now we have something where we could, like I said, measure their amounts. We would, if approved, we would share these with the managers. That way they have set goals, and that then for their KPI, which would be awarded in early 2026, there is a set amount that they're working towards. So staff is recommending the board approve these metrics to determine their annual KPI bonus for both the tennis and ice management staff that is awarded in 2026, which is budgeted which will be budgeted in fiscal year 26.
May I have a motion to approve the fiscal year 2025 KPI metrics for determining the annual KPI bonus for the tennis and ice facility management team with award distribution in early 2026?
So moved.
Root, that's Root. Second?
Second.
Lawson. Any additional discussion? Seeing none, that's a roll call vote.
Commissioner Tyson?
Yes.
Commissioner Root?
Yes.
Commissioner Lusson?
Yes.
Commissioner James?
Yes.
Commissioner Kodo?
Yes. Thank you. Item 6.4, Elisa. Amendment to the North Shore Trevian's Youth Football Memo of Understanding.
The North Shore Trevian's Youth Football, which their formal legal name is Junior Trevian Youth Football Corporation, signed a memo of understanding in March of 2023. And this is auto-renewed for 2 years through 2026. But there are a couple amendments in this memo that need to be updated. So I am providing an amendment to their MOU to the board. The 2025 rental fees and the 2026 rental fees, which went up 3% each year. A removal of the Park District staff for on-site setup, and allowing their staff to use our golf cart for field setup. So those 4 pieces would be explained in the amendment. Which then is good through 2026.
Just a point of order, Commissioner Rath, around
Yes.
7:55.
Yes.
I may need to leave again depending on the timing because one of my kids has an issue, so I'm hopeful.
Thank you for letting us know. We're glad to see you. May I have a motion to approve amendment number 1 to North Shore Trevian's Youth Football Organization Memo of Understanding?
So moved.
It's James. Second?
Second.
Tyson. Any additional discussion?
Is it a golf cart from the golf facility?
It's our field golf cart
Got it.
that we use.
Yeah.
Any other additional discussion?
I had a number
Yes.
of questions about the contract. I know that at this point, we're considering the amendment. The board never actually approved this contract in 2022. It had been approved previously, it came to the end, it was not reapproved. It has an unusual provision in that it grants affiliate status to an entity with a provision that's inconsistent with our policy for affiliate organizations, specifically that 51% of participants need to be Winnetka residents. And so the contract includes a provision that 51% need to be New Trier residents, which is inconsistent. And I'm just wondering why that isn't. Is that something that we can rectify as we go forward with this contract in the amendment?
We can make an additional amendment. Do you happen to know what the composition of their participants is?
I just want to clarify. Your concern is that the bylaws of the football program don't require the same residency as our policy does, even if the actual results match what our policies are.
I don't know that the actual results do. I know we had gotten some information that suggests they might, but it's a concern, just because I don't think we should be granting entities that are not in line with our policy the affiliate status. So if they are, that's great. The amendment should be no problem, right? And we should do it so that we're in line with our policy. It seemed unusual that to me it looked like it was kind of something that had been slipped in a little bit. So, but I would like to see it fixed.
Well, we can't do that by ourselves right now, obviously, because we can't speak for.
No, I know. I think we should be talking to them and getting it fixed and voting on it at the next meeting. So,
Yeah, Commissioner Rapp, I think that's a good call out. Our field usage is limited, and we have a lot of entities, local entities, that would love to have more field access. North Shore Trevino football, youth football, if you come here on a...
I know. It's fabulous. It's hopping.
It's crowded.
Yeah.
All right. So.
Do you want me to make a formal motion to table to the next meeting so that discussion can happen?
I think they're looking to see if they can answer that question right now.
Okay.
I can't answer the question about what Trevion's bylaws say. I can tell you what the actual results are right now. 60% of the participants are from Winnetka, 99% are from New Trier Township. So that's the current status.
As of
Today when I asked, although I had
These
some follow-up.
are the numbers that I received on Wednesday.
Yeah, no, I had some follow-ups on those, but that's what we have, yes.
Okay, so it looks like they meet our policy now, and they have a renewal coming up in '26, correct? Their bylaws require 51% in New Trier Township, correct?
I'm not familiar with their bylaws.
Okay, no, this contract is 51%.
Your current contract, their memo of understanding states that 51% of participants must be residents of New Trier High School District.
Okay.
Yeah, so that, in my opinion, needs to be changed to Winnetka Park District, and I would like to do that in the amendment now and not, wait 2 years. I think it's important for our community and consistency across the affiliate organizations to have that.
Okay, so I think that's an amendment we can make because they do meet the test now, and they will have time to meet that test going forward. Is that acceptable to everyone? Is that?
If they don't agree with it,
It's a
they'll tell us.
condition of
Yes, yes, exactly,
So
exactly.
we'll tell them that's what we're imposing.
Well, I think that if they don't meet it, then we have a different discussion in terms of the rates
That's
that
right.
they're offered, because right now they have the premier resident rates.
Correct.
And I mean, I love football as much as anyone. I love seeing kids out there, but I just think that, you know, like if this agreement prioritizes them ahead of resident groups, and so I think it's important that it reflects the resident group requirements.
So we'll add that 51% Winnetka residents. Winnetka Park District residents, correct. Okay. All right. May I have a motion to approve amendment number 1 to North Shore Trevian's Youth Football Organization Memo of Understanding as amended?
So moved. Second.
Okay. Can we do a voice vote for that one?
To modify the motion?
Yeah. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Excellent. Now we'll vote on the original motion
As amended.
as amended. May I have a motion to approve the amendment number 1 to North Shore Trevian Youth Football Organization Memo of Understanding as amended?
So moved. Second.
Excellent. That's Tyson and Lusson. Motion and second, and that's a roll call vote.
Commissioner Root,
Yes.
Commissioner Rapp,
Yes.
Commissioner Lusson,
Yes.
Commissioner Tyson,
Yes.
Commissioner James,
Yes.
Commissioner Kodo.
Yes. Okay, you're getting a break, Elisa, because we're moving over to Costa. Item 6.5, budget adjustment to pay for drainage pump replacement golf course. Poll number 17, correct?
The by number 17, yes, correct.
Thank you.
This is going to kind of, as we follow order with the packet, you'll notice that this item is contingent, or item 6.6, the pump replacement is contingent on item 6.5, the budget adjustment for the drainage pump replacement to the golf course. Through the 2024 budget and review of that, there was anticipated goal to rebuild the pump through the existing maintenance budget. Unfortunately, due to the cost of that, the thresholds of the pump in its state being from the mid-80s, having 40 years plus years of service to the Park District, it was identified that a replacement was best suited than a rebuild of the pump. Due to that, that finding, it was suggested to go out to bid, which the Park District did. In order to be able to facilitate the numbers that came in, Park District staff worked with Kemper Sports staff to figure out how to work within the existing approved budget to accomplish this pump replacement. The two items that were identified to be reallocated for future years was the Toro Sidewinder as well as the driving range ball dispensing machine. The total of those two accounts would equal $75,000. Account number 2100-60248 for the Toro Sidewinder, as well as account number 2100-60247 for the driving range ball dispenser. We're suggesting that those funds be reallocated to account 2100-60219, labeled for pump, and those proceeds be utilized for item 6.6, which we'll discuss in a moment. So this motion that we're requesting here is reallocation of Park District funds for the golf course account to be repurposed for the expenditure of a pump. I'd like to note that the pump in question is a series tandem of two pumps that facilitate the dewatering of the North Watershed. This is critical infrastructure to the North Watershed. This one pump has been down for over a year. And if the secondary pump was to fail, the North Watershed would be, we'd have to put it in bypass mode and use another pump system to dewater the north half of the golf course. So we would like to get this work expedited before the spring rains and get this work completed. So I just want to kind of note that as well, that this is part of that that second addendum, or excuse me, item on the packet 6.6.
And you're deferring other expenses to cover those?
Correct. The Toro Sidewinder will be deferred to at least 2026, and the ball range dispenser for the driving range balls will be deferred as well.
Okay, expense neutral. I like that.
It'll actually come in under, but yes.
Yeah, okay. Any questions?
No.
Questions? 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 Okay. May I have a motion to approve a budget adjustment of $75,000 from Golf Fund account 60247 and 60248 to Golf Fund account 60219 for the sole purpose of paying for the drainage pump replacement fiscal year 2025. Lawson, James. Any discussion? That will be a roll call.
Commissioner James?
Yes.
Commissioner Rapp?
Yes.
Commissioner Lusson?
Yes.
Commissioner Root?
Yes.
Commissioner Tyson?
Yes.
Commissioner Kodo?
Yes. Okay. May I have a motion to approve the bid from Illinois Pump, Inc. from Rolling Meadows, Illinois for a not-to-exceed cost of $69,286, which includes a $10,000 contingency.
So moved.
That's Tyson. Second?
Second.
Root? Any discussion? Okay, that's a roll call.
Commissioner Rapp?
Yes.
Commissioner Tyson?
Yes.
Commissioner Root?
Yes.
Commissioner James?
Yes.
Commissioner Lusson?
Yes.
Commissioner Kodo?
Yes. Okay, moving to the executive director's report. Costa.
President Chair Kodo, thank you very much. In review of the packet, as it's been done previously, you'll have status reports for the month of both January and February. Outlined in there is also the legal invoices that have been received to date, legal costs that we've incurred for December totaled $14,008.75. That was broken down between corporate fund for just shy of $5,000 and Elder Centennial Beach Matters nearing about $9,000. That was for the month of December, as I stated. Hold on 1 second. Yes. There is also information that has been provided by Kemper Sports. Miles wasn't able to be in attendance this evening, but there is an outline in regards to their information in regards to the board report. One thing I'd like to kind of note in regards to our departure from the Kemper team, Andrew Gardner, who was the director of agronomy, took an opportunity to further his career out west and did decide to leave the organization. Dave Burley, who is the regional agronomist, along with Miles, is working on finding a suitable replacement for Andrew. They have some two great front runners that they're reviewing now. I think they have a second-year interview tomorrow with one of those gentlemen, and we will bring that information back to the board, hopefully in place by the March 20th meeting, so the board can review, or not necessarily review, but meet the new proposed candidate, whoever that might be. So I just wanted to kind of get that information out there. I can run through the board report, but we've all had it. I think it's been digested. If there's any questions I can answer for you through the executive's director's report that's been published in the meeting, I'd love to be able to answer any questions you might have.
Any questions for Costa? Complete report? Okay, thank you very much. Moving on to item 8, commissioner comments. Commissioner James? Excellent. Commissioner Lawson? Commissioner Root?
I just want to thank staff for a fabulous daddy-daughter dance in Michigan Shores. I never saw so many happy and very, very highly dressed young ladies. It was fabulous. Thank you very much.
Commissioner Tyson?
I've got 2 items. One, the Winnetka Parks Foundation Board met on Wednesday, February 12th. Highlights from the meeting included election of officers for 2025, which includes P.K. Wilson as the chair, and the vice chair is Gina Gooden. Other topics covered a review of current financials and discussion of planned fundraising events for the year. One already mentioned by Elisa, tomorrow is the Family Public Escape. We also have, or I should say the board has tennis and golf tournaments in the plan as well. And I wanted to thank staff again, including Elisa and team and Jim and team, for their continued support of the foundation efforts. That's number 1. And number 2, Executive Director Nazal and I had the opportunity to attend the Joint Legislative Committee breakfast on Friday, February 14th, which was hosted by North Shore Park District at the Heritage Oaks Golf Club. During the breakfast, the IAPD representative gave an overview of proposed initiatives for the 2025-2026 legislative platform. And if anybody wants a closer look, I have a brochure that covers those. Thank you. That's it.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Rapp?
No report. Apologies for being late. I'm thrilled that you've made such good progress on the agenda. And I'll watch the video to catch up. Thank you.
I just have two things. Went to the conference and have links for all the presentations that I attended, which were excellent and fascinating. And giving a check to Jim Crocker to reimburse him, the district, for the cost of my registration, but I thought it was very useful, so I'm grateful for that. That's it. May I have a motion to adjourn?
So
Second.
13.
That's Root and Tyson and James, whichever you want to put in. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.